is the Ukrainian counteroffensive progressing? How a strategic bridge is being impoverished again? And will Russia blow up Zaporizhia nuclear power plant? Hi guys, I'm Drutska and today we will talk about all this in the new vlog. I'm absolutely confident that most of you were waiting or are still waiting for a swift counteroffensive by Ukrainian forces, which are breaking through Russian fortifications, and the Russians are again talking about the need to retreat to new positions. But it's not like that. There is no rapid progress as in Kharkiv region, you remember. We do not see a large number of trophy equipment or captive Russians. Let's talk about it more specifically. Here is a map of Ukraine, on which you can see the lines of Russian fortifications which are already being stormed by the Ukrainian military. They are marked in red dots. One of the most interesting and promising directions for counteroffensive remains the south, but it is in the south that the Russians have built their fortifications in like 3 lines. The first line is located closest to the line of direct combat contact, and in some places it has already been either broken through or maximally thinned. In the second line of Russian defense is one long line of trenches and dugouts with minefields covering the position and support points. The enemy artillery has long known the coordinates of its own positions and in case of capture of trenches and dugouts will hit its former fortifications with great accuracy. It's interesting, what are Ukrainian defense forces doing in this time? Well, first of all, they are creating optimal conditions for their counteroffensive. What does it mean? Individual populated areas are being seized. Enemy ammunition stores are being destroyed. For example, you could see videos taken near the village of Rykove, where the detonation of ammunition lasted a very long time. And secondly, much more interesting, you might not know this, but the Russians currently do not have a significant amount of reserves after Bakhmut and are also forced to keep significant forces on the old border with Belgorod region after raids of the Russian Volunteer Corps and the Free Russia Legion. It gets even more interesting after viewing videos taken by Ukrainian defense forces. We destroy enemy forces trying to counterattack as well as strike at reserves approaching Russian defense lines. Thus, the Russians lose their ability to rotate their forces and will be forced to keep blooded troops further in positions. What does this mean for our defense forces, which are already counterattacking? There is no need to blindly rush in, wasting equipment and lives. It is significant to deliver precise blows to enemy equipment and personnel, so that at the right moment we can strike where the enemy forces will be most depleted. In fact, we have a strong line of defense, but here comes the logical question. Will the Russians have enough supplies and trained personnel to maintain these positions? Think about it yourself. The next news supports my previous argument, the attack on the Chongar Bridge. We will talk about it now, but before that I would like to kindly ask you to subscribe to my channel and like this video. And remember, you can always support this channel on Patreon and buy me a coffee if you think my videos help you better understand the current situation in Ukraine. Your contributions are highly appreciated. Take a look at this. Does it remind you of anything? Since I have a thinking audience here, I'm sure you immediately recall the Antonov Bridge, which at one time began to be covered with similar holes from the strikes of HIMARS rockets. But the situation here is much more interesting. Yet very similar to what happened with the Antonov Bridge. The Chongar Bridge crossed the eponymous Chongar Strait, connecting Crimea and the Kherson region. The bridge itself has received significant damage. Traffic through it stopped. As a result of the strike, part of the road surface is punched through. The size of the holes reached 2 meters. I can assume that the occupiers are now trying to restore the bridge, but considering the presence of such hits, it's quite likely that the bridge will soon suffer new damages. According to local residents, at the moment all vehicles are turned around at the checkpoint near the bridge and directed through the Crimea Bridge or Armyansk. The bridge is a strategic object that plays an important role in the logistics of the Russian occupying forces. Due to the cessation of traffic through Chongar, Russian trucks, in order to get from Crimea to occupied Melitopol, we have to make a detour of 100 kilometers, which will take at least several hours. The bridge is located 128 kilometers from the nearest point of the line of combat actions, namely the right bank of the Kherson region. HIMARS do not hit that far, but I frankly do not want to make any assumptions about what hit the bridge. The main thing to understand, the Russians have significant logistic problems, and who knows, maybe soon there will be explosions at the warehouse of temporary occupied Crimea. By the way, the invaders themselves also understand that they are not protected from Ukrainian strikes and note in their media channels that about 70% of military and civilian traffic went through the damaged bridge. As it is the road through Chongar that is most convenient for transporting military equipment to the Zaporizhia region. By the way, the Russian Ministry of Defense has already happily reported that today they intercepted 5 Storm Shadow missiles. Great work, especially when observing today totally not damaged bridge. I'm curious, what do you guys think about this? How will the strategic blows affect the overall situation? Share your thoughts in the comments below. And now to more pressing news. Ukrainian intelligence has received information that Russia is considering the scenario of a terrorist act as a Zaporizhia nuclear power plant, a terrorist act with the release of radiation. They have prepared everything for this, despite the fact that a repeat of the Chernobyl scenario is impossible at the Zaporizhia nuclear power plant. A large amount of explosives can cause a lot of trouble. We saw this in the case of the Kakhovka hydroelectric power plant. After this statement, the International Atomic Energy Agency denied Budanov's words about the mining of the cooling pond at Zaporizhia nuclear power plant. At the same time, the press service reported that during the visit of the Director General, mines were found around the perimeter of the nuclear power plant and in some places inside. Grossi stated that although the presence of such object mines does not meet safety standards, the main safety functions of the nuclear power plant are not violated. So did I understand this correctly? They are aware of the mines around the perimeter of the nuclear power plant, and they know they do not meet safety standards, but still it's fine until probably it explodes. Anyway, I will keep you updated on the development situation, and Slava Ukraini!